fighting managers.
That would have actually been an excellent boxing match. I've seen the tale of tape between Conte and Tuchel, and trust me, that would have been an exciting one.
Conte is a bad man.
Both won't be around over the weekend. We've got Usyk and Joshua over the weekend. That could have been a teaser for...
I know, it could have been an undercard for the main fight. And if you look at the brawl between Conte and Tuchel, I think it was great. I honestly think it was great for the game.
But the football was better.
Yeah, the football was better, definitely better. I mean,
I enjoyed the brawl over the football, though.
Well, I enjoyed the game. I think that, we saw a beautiful game of beautiful tactics and varying tactics. And for me, I've always said that if teams can be able to outmaneuver each other domestically, that is where you present a unified front when you go to Europe, because you invariably get to test yourselves with all of the tactics that could potentially be thrown at you. So, great for the APL.
But Tuchel will not be around this weekend when Chelsea takes on Leeds United. I do not know. How do you see that game going with his absence?
Well, if you've watched all of our episodes, there's a running theme that we've always hammered when it comes to Chelsea. It is that I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I am proud of the players they set up to play on the pitch. Anytime Chelsea walks onto the pitch, they invariably know what to do. Every player knows his roles. Everybody knows what they are supposed to do. And so I think that, yes, the manager potential will not be on the touchline, but the players are accustomed to the roles they are supposed to be playing under this particular manager. And Chelsea have always represented themselves very well in terms of their player output and what is demanded of the players from the club. I think they should be fine.
I kind of think that's where the game may be won or lost, because we know how Tuchel is vocal on the touchline. Whenever he's there, he's down back in instructions. This time Chelsea would have to be reliant on probably a phone call, or in this age of technology, there'll be definitely other means to get through to them. And so I feel that's an area, because you look at the game against Leeds, there could be areas where, particularly you look at the attack, Chelsea have been typically numb in the opening two games. Even though they've scored goals, they've not been exciting.
They've not been that,
clinical in terms of finishing off the goals. And so you look at Chelsea, probably game straight in the 60th, 70th minute, they're struggling to find goals. Is he now going to pick the phone and make a call or send a WhatsApp text? Or that's going to drag the whole situation. But if he was on down the bench, he could say, hey, bro, strip that bib off and go on. But Leeds will have Jesse March down the bench.
Exactly.
You've got Patrick Bamford, who started the season off brilliantly. And you look at that game they played at home in the opener against Wolves.
And then Rodrigo.
Rodrigo themselves.
Yes, I think he's played
started
himself
off brilliantly.
The attacking lineup of Leeds, for some reason, in their first two games, has clicked to perfection.
Harrison, Rodrigo, Bamford. They've got Aronson, who's in the background.
There's James
as well. So you look at all of these areas, and you look at Chelsea. Maybe defensively, you might want to praise them. They've been solid. I think that Chelsea defense will be given a good test. Have they got pace? That's an area we've also got to look at, because you look at Rodrigo, you look at James, you look at Harrison. These are players who would run at defenders when there are spaces to gallop into. But you look at Chelsea's backline, Kalidou Koulibaly is not the fastest of players. Thiago Silva has not got that pace.
Chelsea's backline are practically, if you put their age together,
you should be running nearly
100 plus.
No, but there's one thing you guys are not looking at. Yes, as much as we talk about pace and defenders not having pace, we've also hammered on the fact that these are defenders who have mastered the arts of closing spaces or making sure they detect the danger before he even strikes. You understand? You look at Thiago Silva. I mean, a lot of people have always doubted him coming to the league.
Premier League.
Yes, he didn't have the greatest of stats in his first game in the Premier League, but he's adapted so well because he's able to read the game better. He's able to envision danger before he even materializes. And there's one subplot. I mean, will Chelsea go out and revenge the non-capture of Rafinha?
But where I think Chelsea might hurt Leeds United is Leeds usually play on the wings, and they love to suffocate their opponent. I watched their game against Southampton, that game that they actually led twice, and they allowed Southampton to crawl back. They love to suffocate their opponent and run around, the defenders, draw rings around them. They cannot do that with Chelsea because the fullbacks of Chelsea are so good, both defending and attacking. Look at Reece James. Last Saturday, he was brilliant. Cucurella is one of those players that I feel if City had captured him, it would have taken City to another level. But for some reason, they didn't want to pay the asking price. These fullbacks, you cannot run rings around them. You cannot suffocate them because they know how to play their way out of spaces. Reece James' ability to combine going forward as well as defending is practically... There are very few players in the Premier League that can do that. That's why I think that Chelsea do have, an edge over Leeds United. But hey, they are going away, and the noise at the Leeds Stadium would come into play. And the fact that you also mentioned Tuchel will not be around, who will be that motivating factor on the bench? You look at the two sides. I think Chelsea practically will do what they usually do. Yeah, 4-3 formation with Sterling playing out wide, Mason Mount coming through the middle. I watched them against Tottenham Hotspur where he played him through the middle, having two number 10s in Kai Havertz and Raheem Sterling, juggling those two roles. I feel that tactically Thomas Tuchel does have an edge over Jesse Marsch, but this game can go either way. But I think that Chelsea do have a little edge in terms of the quality of personnel on the pitch. One player I feel Chelsea are missing so much is the absence of Kovacic. His ability to run at players. These are players who literally they are press resistant kind of players. Kovacic, your man, Frankie de Jong and all of that.
Let's not forget, Kante is going to be absent for this particular one. Exactly. So that should create another vacuum in that Chelsea
that Leeds can, exploit in that game.
But the midfield is one area Chelsea are not short of talent. They have
it could be an opportunity for Gallagher to come. So he had an excellent spell at Palace last year.
Even when he came on against Tottenham Hotspur, he wasn't bad.
He showed promise. You understand? Then
maybe this is his opportunity to grab
Loftus-Cheek also in the midfield.
In the mix. So just maybe N'Golo Kante's influence will not be felt that much, but I think he'll be a big blow in that Chelsea midfield. But still on London, I think Bournemouth host Arsenal at the Vitality Stadium.
That's one game personally I'm looking forward to. Arsenal have 2 games now. They've not put in a foot wrong. I mean, we all attest. It's not that they are unbeaten.
They're unbeaten.
It's about how Arsenal have gone about dispatching the 2 teams they've played. Many people, this is not the usual Arsenal side we are used to watching.
Exactly.
The manner in which they press, the aggressiveness. We talked about the transition play of Arsenal, the ability when the interpositional play. It's one thing that I feel is going on so well for Arsenal. The ability and the confidence of Gabriel Jesus should be talked about. When he gets the ball, I do not know whether psychologically he sees himself bigger than Arsenal, or he thinks, okay, this is where I've found my level. And so he's playing at a level I feel the other players around him, his confidence level is I think one of the
contributing factors. You listen to him after that game against Leicester. And he spoke clearly about the fact that he's enjoying playing in that number 9 role. That's his preference. That's his preferred position. But for his time at City, he's had to shuffle around the front row, playing out wide.
But ironically, he was asked I think there was a World Cup game where he was asked by, one of the journalists after he spoke to Titi that, where do you want to play? And he said he actually prefers playing out wide than playing through the middle. I think the problem with Jesus at City was the confidence level. He said when you play for teams like City, Liverpool, Manchester,
there's quite a lot of
pressure.
There's
a lot of pressure on you compared to playing for Arsenal. That's the truth. At Arsenal, if he was not performing at this level, nobody would actually blame him too much because there's so much people expect from him, but very little. Maybe another in terms
contributing factor to his confidence has got to be that he's now the main number 9.
Okay.
At City, he had to compete for spots.
Okay.
At City, he had to overdo things to impress the manager.
Okay.
But at Arsenal, he's Arteta's go-to man, even though there's Eddie Nketiah in the lines. You
Obviously
clearly know
better than Eddie Nketiah.
He'll start that particular game.
And for me, I think the confidence has a lot to do with all of these things we talk about. I think that when you have to play against proper world-class players in City, there is so much demand you put on yourself. To be able to excel, because listen, anytime you get an opportunity to be in a Pep Guardiola team, you are not looking at the now, you are looking at securing your position beyond that particular game. So it puts an extra pressure. I agree with Lucky perfectly. He speaks about the fact that, no disrespect to Arsenal, but there's not a lot of pressure playing for Arsenal now. When was the last time Arsenal won the league? That's 2003, 2004 season.
Actually, people watching us now may not have seen Arsenal lift the trophy.
Exactly the point. So Arteta is not under real pressure to win the league now.
Not necessarily win the league, but he's under pressure to at least put Arsenal in the top 4. With all the investment Arteta has made, there's no excuse this time if they miss out on the top 4, because in defense they've strengthened, in midfield they've strengthened, in attack they've strengthened. Every single player Arteta has requested for, he's been given. So what will be your excuse for missing out on the top 4? I think that Arsenal themselves know that we are not a league winning team, but we are a top 4 contender.
But I think they'll have no excuse to
miss
lose
out on the top 4.
But
this weekend.
The other team is Bournemouth. What do you think Bournemouth can do to hurt Arsenal?
Their pace. I think that Arsenal have wonderful fullbacks. Zinchenko, there is that other player, that Japanese player, Tomiyasu plays on the right fullback position. But I think that if you look at Bournemouth and how they play, they like to attack at you with a lot of pace. You understand? And yes, we've all seen Gabriel, we've seen Saliba. I don't think that Arsenal have been able to meet a team like Bournemouth in the Premier League this far. Pace.
Maybe they've had the luxury of playing teams that would trade punches with them, not sit back and have a low block.
But even on that, David, if you watch critically their game against Crystal Palace, there were moments where Crystal Palace should have hit Arsenal. There were moments where if Crystal Palace had capitalized on those opportunities they had, I think we'll not be talking about Arsenal winning the first game. I'm hoping that going forward, Arteta would see all those minor errors and correct them, because now you're going away, you're playing at Bournemouth. They were very naive against Manchester City. Yes. You cannot go to the Etihad and play the way they played. Even when they were defending, they left a lot of gaping holes in their defense. City exploited them at will. They cannot afford those kind of mistakes against Arsenal. That's why I think they won't even make those mistakes. Now they are playing at home. They can defend well and attack you at will. I think we are going to have a very interesting game.
Arsenal have actually enjoyed the lion's share, so I don't think we should expect, for any punter out there, I think you should go for an Arsenal win. You know, it's 10 clashes between the two.
Yeah.
Arsenal have won 7, Bournemouth have won only just 1.
History does not favor Bournemouth at all.
Exactly. So if you're a punter, maybe you should look at Arsenal.
Who amongst the two teams do you think will stand out in this game?
That should be Arsenal.
The various characters.
Well, I think a game like this favors Zinchenko.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Maybe for Bournemouth, you can look at Jefferson Lerma. He'll be...
He's a travel man, traveler.
But I still think that Gabriel Jesus would get a goal in this game. I look at his game. He doesn't wait for a ball to come to him. He goes out there, struggles, get the ball, and tries to run at defenders. And his ability he knows how to draw defenders away from the play and all of that. I think that this will be a very good game for Gabriel Jesus, and I won't be surprised if he stands out, and is counted in this game.
But the biggest talking point this weekend.
Yeah.
I never envisaged I was going to say Manchester United versus Liverpool will be a game featuring one side or two winning sides.
It's a mismatch.
The battle of the relegation, almost relegated teams.
Oh, please. Liverpool have 2 points.
Yes,
but both sides, United could usurp Liverpool with a win.
It doesn't matter. Monday. Liverpool still have 2 points. Liverpool are better than Manchester United. 2
winless sides.
There's
no common ground here.
Okay, so we've watched Manchester United. It's the biggest game in Europe this weekend. Though the game will be played on Monday, but it's counted as
paper.
Biggest on paper. in Europe. There's no bigger game.
I think the data also suggests everything. It backs everything that
in Europe. Go through the fixtures in Europe this week. It's the biggest game in Europe this weekend, though the game will be played on Monday. Kofi, you've watched United play 2 games. Very, very...
Revival
from which
There we go again.
Revival.
Renaissance.
Revival. This almost sounds like a crusade. You understand?
You think United are good enough
let me tell you,
to use Liverpool
let me tell you something.
Literally kickstart their season?
Let me tell you something. If there is a bigger motivation to get your season started, it could not come any less against Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the history behind this fixture is enough a motivation for Manchester United to kickstart their season. I'm trusting that they kickstart
the numbers
their season.
don't exactly tell the story.
Which numbers?
The numbers from United this season. You know, Liverpool, we have...
But when it comes to United and Liverpool, forget about the numbers.
No, I'm actually looking
It's about the desire.
It's about United's output. Mm-hmm. You look at this season, and we've been accustomed to Liverpool being one of the teams that press high.
Very, very high up the pitch.
United, against Brentford, gave away 8 turnovers. From those 8, we had 3 leading to shot, 2 led to goals. Particularly, one of those has to be Eriksen's goal. Across the 2 games all season against Brighton and Brentford, they've had 40 turnovers.
40.
That's like the second highest in the Premier League.
Very poor.
Obviously they're having a lot of turnovers because there's a switch in style.
It's not about switching style.
What's outstanding has got to be the fact that you've had 33 shots. The only side that has had more is Manchester City. But you look at the disparate quality. City have scored more goals. That's 6 goals from their 33 shots.
Yeah.
United have 31. They scored just 1 goal. And
So
that's
it-
on
And even that one goal was an own
So
goal.
it tells you United are doing something very right
It's
up
not
front.
really about
You
the shot.
understand?
How
is
many
it
of
right
them
up
are
front?
even on
You
target?
understand?
31, you have
How
1.
many of them are even on target?
Then it means that you are trying to create chances up front. That's what it suggests.
It only tells you
that's what-
United have been poor
That's-
in that attacking unit.
that's
the
not what
reason
it
why
suggests.
they've been scampering all over Europe to try and get a number 9 or a proper striker.
No,
I'm
Anthony
hearing that-
Martial is back. Anthony Martial is back, and remember that debut against Prison Break. That guy from Eastern Europe.
Dave,
Yes, Kettle.
let's look at-
But I think that. Remember in one of our episodes, I told you that Liverpool needs to watch their defense this season.
Exactly, but I think
It's a running
before
thing.
you want to watch that Liverpool defense, maybe let's start from United's midfield. That has given away possession lots of times. Liverpool, we understand, have been pressing and pressing.
They are one of
How
the...
does United keep possession and not turn over?
United, you see, before Lucky comes in, United does not need to necessarily keep a lot of possession. I think that you need to be pragmatic against a unique opposition. You understand? Liverpool are a team this far who have been able to perfect their system. You understand? They have been able to do what they do and do it on multiple occasions. The club has been there for almost 8 years. So he's been able to instill a particular playing style. So obviously, you're not going to go there, challenge their style. But the issue is that United need to be efficient. United need to, like you pointed out, they need to cut down on the turnovers. And if they're able to do that, I still maintain that there will be a revival against Liverpool. But when it comes to this game, it's not about form. It's not about form guide. It's about desire. It's about who wants to win it.
I can see he has a sense of optimism because you look at this Liverpool team, they are somewhat lightweight in terms of personnel. There's quite a lengthy injury list they would be taking to Old Trafford. Remember, there's no Darwin Núñez for the game on Monday. He's suspended.
They actually...
Jota...
They do not need a Darwin Núñez to beat Manchester United. They didn't need a Darwin Núñez when they beat them 5-0. They didn't need a Darwin. I'm coming. They didn't need a Darwin Núñez when they beat them 4-0 in the last 2 games in last season. They literally wiped the floor with Manchester United. This is where, let me start from Manchester United. If you watch Manchester United play this season, they try to play from the back, which has been a very poor way of playing. I feel that they are yet to master that. Their midfield is not compact enough, and Ten Hag is struggling. Now, who do you pair in the middle if you decide to play a double pivot. He doesn't know whether I should do McFred, whether I should do Ericsson Fred, whether I should do Ericsson McTominay. That speaks to the lack of quality in the midfield.
That will be an area of concern.
This game will be won in the middle of the park. There's no way Fred can come up against Fabinho and win. There's no way Fred can come up against a player like what's his name? Henderson and win. We know that as much as we have our issues with Henderson and all of that, there's no way he can come up against the Liverpool midfield may be lacking Thiago Alcantara, but I feel that there's enough quality to outdo the Manchester United midfield. That for now, my focus is on the midfield. Manchester United may have Ericsson, a player who can play within space and all of that, but I feel they are not good enough to outmuscle or outdo Liverpool in the middle.
Quickly, let me do a top 4 picks.
Yeah.
We've got Arsenal, Bournemouth, City, Newcastle, Chelsea, Leeds, United, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Your predictions?
Okay. So, City, Newcastle is one of those games that will be very exciting. Two teams that I feel, as for City, we don't need to, but Newcastle they've been good so far. They are yet to lose a game, but I think that City will win this one.
Okay.
City win.
United, Liverpool.
United, Liverpool. Obviously, I'll be dumb enough not to pick Liverpool. Liverpool will wash the floor with Manchester
3-1 United.
I'll go with.
Is it speaking out of emotions?
3-1 United.
So let the debate go out there. Let's see your predictions. But if you're a punter, I think for the Liverpool United game, go for goals. There will be lots of goals.
Yeah, I think both teams will score.